All right, everyone. Unhappy Wednesday to all of you. Thanks for joining us here as we come to you live from what I'm calling the Arizona Invasion Recovery Center. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. So pull up a chair, tune in as my raspy voice tries to entertain you for the next hour-ish. Wherever you're at, in the car, pull up a chair, sitting on the company dime. We're happy to have you from wherever you may be as we try to get you through the end of this third day of this week's hostage situation and look forward to Friday Eve tomorrow. I'm sure you can all hear I'm still kind of on the struggle bus with my voice. So any of you that actually were in Arizona with us, or if you were trying to watch the pregame show, you'd have seen that I was there for about the first 5 minutes and didn't say a word. And then I had to call it a bullpen, and Super Sam had to come and give me some relief. I couldn't talk. So you all know I'm not a Phillies fan, but that atmosphere on Saturday night, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. The atmosphere at Rock Bar on Saturday night when the Phillies won that series, I couldn't help it. I got wrapped up in it because it was just fun. And I woke up Sunday morning and I kind of felt like I sounded like how I do now. And then it just kept getting worse. And by the time we got to the tailgate, I was like this. It was straining to talk. So that part of the day stunk. But I mean, the rest of Sunday was obviously awesome. Any little bit of voice I did have left, I completely blew that out of the water, screaming and yelling at the game while we were there. So still on the struggle bus a little bit here, throwing some jet lag and whatnot, but we'll get back through it. I'm back to work tomorrow, which really sucks, but at least it's just tomorrow and Friday, and then we can move on to the weekend. Who's in the room over here? Lou Mancini, my brother from another. How you doing, my friend? Jay Barrios. Go Birds. Damn right. Keenan. Great to finally hook up out there, man. It was good. It was great to finally meet you. Yeah, I'm my voice is really torn up. You guys think it sounds bad now. I'm telling you, Sunday evening, my poor wife, we get back to the hotel after the shuttle ride from the game, and I can't talk. And now all day, I've had people asking me questions and stuff, and I can't respond. And it really frustrating. And my throat was hurting at that time too. We get back to the hotel. My wife's like, she wants to go out for dinner. I had to tell her, like, I'm not going anywhere, right? Like, I want to go back to the room and just go to sleep. I'm sore. I'm frustrated. I'm happy the Birds won, but apart from that, man, I really just wanted to lay down. So that was kind of a bummer for her. But of course, then I woke up Monday morning and sounded pretty much like this. which was a little bit raspy, but not. I mean, at least I could talk. So I figured it was a good time to go and get hammered again on Monday, right? Can't drink all day unless you start in the morning. So yeah, didn't do myself any favors there. So, but I mean, what a great trip. The Green Legion, it never fails to deliver. The Arizona trip was no exception. I'm happy to have all of you in here with me tonight. Hopefully we can get through this next hour without me falling out of the chair here. Ashley, there she is. 305 Sports Babe. Eagles and Phillies. Sixers not be good. You'll have to take that up with Diaz there. Talked to Diaz a bunch over the weekend, of course, but in particular on Friday after we got there, we got over to Rock Bar and we talked a little basketball. He is not a fan of my stance on modern NBA. I'm just not a real big fan of modern NBA. A lot of it is the way the players act and the load management and all this. And to Diaz's credit, it's not like he's wrong. It is a proven statistic that these guys perform better, the playoffs, all that stuff, if they do the load management. But I mean, old man yells at cloud, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. My oldest son, Grady, he's very much into the NBA. I told Diaz I should get him to hook up, to get those two together to talk. And Diaz, well, good, at least because you don't know shit about the NBA. You're not entirely wrong, but neither am I. So we're just going to leave it at that. What do we got over here? Keenan, the look on Mrs. Gilmore's face as she climbed the stairs to her seat was priceless. Dude, a lot of us were winded going up there, man. But I'll tell you what, I thought State Farm Stadium was really nice. Now the exit, going to leave, that left a little bit to be desired. You were really packed in. It wasn't like a wide open kind of concourse to get down. You had to all funnel in together towards this one doorway where you finally got to some stairs. So that was a little odd, but other than that, I thought the stadium was really nice. It didn't appear to me that there were any bad seats in the house. We were in the upper level and I thought it was great. I could see everything. And even the stuff where I couldn't see it that well, 2 gigantic screens to look at and make sure you could see the game going on. So I had no trouble with it at all. And I didn't really move much. I wasn't drinking on Sunday. And that's kind of my thing. I'll usually have a few at the tailgate, but then come game, at game time, because I want to enjoy the game. And I'm not paying $10 a piece for beers. So yeah. Let's see here. Who else is in here? Russ Taylor, was there any beer left in Arizona? I can tell you that the Salt, the place where we had the tailgate, and what an amazing place that was too. But I mean, there were just so many of us there. It was hard to keep up with cold beer. I mean, they had the beer. It was getting tough for them to keep it cold. And I mean, who could blame them? I mean, 1,200 of this group? Yeah, we're going to put away some beer. So, but I thought the place was awesome. They had a nice little upstairs area too. The downstairs, huge, multiple bars, and then set up with girls with the tubs of ice and beer set up everywhere too. Out in the big, huge outside area that wrapped around the front and side of the building. I thought it was great. The tailgate food was really good. So we had a fun time. Who else is it? Super Sam hashtag shut up Diaz. Michelle John, Arizona was incredible. I 1,000% agree. We had an absolute blast. Keenan, Salt was rocking. Yeah, man. And Russ, you had me at Tubs and Girls. Yeah, I'm sure we had a lot of guys with that. But yeah, I wrote down a few things. I mean, Rock Bar and the Eagles West group over there, accommodating. Now that place is a little bit tighter on the inside. and then but they do have an upstairs too. But a really, really fun atmosphere. You walk in there and you feel like you walked into a bar on Broad Street, or on South Street. It's all decked out. Eagles. Saturday night was the pep rally, and they on the sides of the buildings, instead of having that kind of fenced off, it was opened. So the side parking lot over there was wide open. I don't know how many of you saw the video when the Phils clinched it. If you could, I was out on the side. I was outside at that point. I wasn't sitting upstairs anymore. I went outside over in the parking lot side, and what an atmosphere! That was absolutely incredible. It exploded. So I mean, go on the Green Legion YouTube page, and I think it's Diaz that was upstairs at the outside bar, and he videos there, and he like leans over the side so that you can see what's going on in the parking lot. Out of control. And that's why I had no voice on Sunday. Like I said, I'm not a Phils fan. You guys all know that. I couldn't help but get involved in it. I mean, and I'm not a Phils fan, but it's not like I'm not rooting for you, between all of you who are Phils fans, whether we know each other or not, between friends and Green Legion supporters and everyone being Phils fans, I want the Phillies to do well. And on top of all of that, the biggest thing for me with the Phillies clinching it Saturday was the fact that having won Friday, Chris Sack was in St. Louis. Chris and his wife, Rachel, were in St. Louis at the game Saturday. And I really, really, really wanted that for him. I thought it was just really cool for him to be there in St. Louis, exercising your 2011 demons, and getting to see that clincher live. So congratulations to Chris for that. That looked like fun. I saw his pictures. But yeah, I mean, great atmosphere at Rock Bar Eagles West. Old Town itself is awesome. I mean, plenty of just shops, restaurants, and the hotels. Really, from the giant mall down, but it was only like a mile away. I mean, you could walk. You didn't have to take an Uber. And yes, it got hot, but like it's not humid hot. So yeah, I mean, look, the summertime, I'm sure it's 120 degrees, 110, 120 degrees. And then, I mean, you're not coming outside, or at least not for very long. Probably cut your grass in sections, for what you can stand of that heat. But while we were there, the weather was amazing. It was, you're talking 90 degrees, which, oh my God, that's hot, but it's not humid at all. I mean, at all. So the minute you step into the shade, it was just beautiful. Barely a cloud in the sky. I think the first, maybe Friday and then Saturday, there was it looked like there was a couple of passing storms over there. But I mean, my God, you can see it coming for just miles. No humidity and flat land out there until you get to the mountain ranges. You can see it rolling in from the scenery is beautiful. Flying into the airport with all the mountains around and everything, absolutely gorgeous. Red Rock. If we'd have had more time, if we'd had a week to spend out there, we definitely would have taken the day to go up to the Grand Canyon. It's like a 4 to 4.5 hour drive from where we were, though, and we just didn't have time for it. So the weather, amazing. Old Town itself, plenty to do. And the hotels were good. Now, Green Legion used 3 different hotels. So there was the W, I think it was, and that was kind of your bougie, ritzy. That one was, I think, right next to that whole mall area, everything right there. It looked really high end. I'm sure it was very nice, but that was a little out of my price range for this trip. Then there was the DoubleTree, which was the cost in between, and that's where we stayed. And that place was beautiful. The only knock on it was a little bit of a pain in the ass to find your room. I think Michelle and I both got lost on Friday night. She went to go walk back to her room, and I said, just text me when you get there. About 15 minutes goes by, 15, 20 minutes. She still hadn't texted yet. So I closed the tab, Now I started walking because I know she's lost somewhere in the courtyard. Well, now I get lost. So finally, I walked out of the courtyard, went out into the parking lot, and came around the side that way. And as I come around to where you would go upstairs to where our room is, there was Michelle with Sam and Steph. I guess Sam and Steph had found her, got her up to her room, and I came up right behind that. So that was kind of funny. From there on out, we would just come out of our room, and you're on like a little balcony walkway, and there was a set of stairs. We'd come down those stairs to the parking lot, come around the corner of the building, and then walk straight through the whole courtyard. That seemed, because otherwise it was a total. It was a bit of a mess, but beautiful resort. 2 pools, an outside bar. You know, they have the palm trees all planted in there and everything. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous hotel. Nice breakfast buffet in the morning. Just not a whole lot to not like. That's for sure. Lobby, plenty big enough. Yeah, Starbucks over there with some smaller stuff to get at. Here's Keenan. Yeah, Keenan saw me Saturday morning when I was in desperate need of a Bloody Mary. And he says the DoubleTree bar doesn't open early enough for Gilmore. Yeah, I mean, that's their choice, right? Thankfully, Dan was there, and he came walking over. He says, let's hoof it down to my bar. It's my hotel. It's open. And that was the third hotel. That was the Adeline, which was about a quarter mile down the road from the DoubleTree. So we just walked down there, walked right in, got a Bloody Mary. The Bloody Mary did the trick for me. Didn't have the same effect on Dan. He had to go lay down for a while after that. So a little bit of a slow start on Saturday, but then we rallied it up and got over to Rock Bar for the pep rally and everything. And it was a good time. So then, Sunday was the tailgate and the game. And then Monday, we just hung out at the pool, hung out with Dan again down at the pool at the Adeline. And, we made a day out of that. We were down there probably late morning, didn't leave until about dinner time. Went over to P.F. Chang's, smashed a whole bunch of food. Back to the hotel where I got the grand idea to continue drinking. And so that's where my voice is still a little raspy here. And we're back to square one again. But all in all, amazing trip. And, I know those of you who've traveled with the Green Legion before, or even if you've done just the tailgate with them in Philly, you know that they don't ever disappoint. It was fantastic. Absolutely great time. David Conant, to be fair, you get lost going to your refrigerator. Now, if Michelle get lost, it must have been confusing. Actually, dude, I would do very well if I would get lost more when I go to the fridge. I'd be able to shed more pounds. So, Keenan, I danced in the desert rain Saturday evening after my visit to the dispensary. Attaboy. Great time though, right? We had an awesome time out there. 1,200 people on just the Green Legion side, and then there were plenty of other groups out there that also had a few hundred with them. I have Philly Sports Trips was saying they had 450, and there were a few more. So when you got to the game, it was, I mean, we kind of turned State Farm Stadium into Link West. I mean, I had people texting me, and then Monday and yesterday telling me, it sounded a lot like what they were saying was it sounded like at least a 50-50 crowd. Now, looking around the stadium while we were in there, the upper ring was definitely heavily green. But even like looking down at the lower level, there were huge, huge pockets of green. And it stands out because all the seats in there were red. So you see it right away. It was like Link West, man. We get we get Arizona backed up on third down. And I mean, it was just rocking in that place. You think you were in Philly. It was nuts. But so great representation by the fans, right? Everybody traveled well. And I'm sure there's a lot of fans already out there, given the climate, the transient nature of Phoenix, Scottsdale, Glendale itself. But yeah, I thought it was awesome. So then you had the game itself, right? Yeah, Lou, great. Before we move forward, Lou brings up a great point here. That's crazy how many tickets are available there for the traveling team. Right. And Q was actually saying that he couldn't really buy them in buckets. He had to buy them on the secondary market. So for that game. So yeah, it's a good call, man. How many people were willing to just sell their tickets. But let's move on to the game a little bit, huh? 5-0. Okay. I mean, I get it. It was a little nerve-wracking. It wasn't the prettiest look, but we're still 5-0. So, tough game. To me, Jalen throwing the ball, obviously, and I understand that he only had 10 incompletions, but I really felt like Arizona's defense did a good job of keeping things contained and not allowing for big plays. They pretty much took A.J. Brown away entirely, right? So he tried, he targeted A.J. 7 times. It only resulted in 3 catches for 37 yards and a 56.8 passer rating when going to A.J. One of those targets was the forced throw where he never sees Thompson. And had Thompson been able to hang on the ball, it's picked off. And that game might have gone a different way. So, it's a couple it was the same type of situation as in against Jacksonville, where he just, for some reason, he doesn't see or against Detroit, he doesn't see the extra defender over there, right? And he'll make the bad throw, and it gets tipped or it gets picked or whatnot. They took away Brown, so pretty much everything besides that, the lion's share of it anyways, went to Davante and Dallas. The two of them combined had 20 targets, 18 catches, 182 yards. Pretty good split between the two, but I think Dallas had 10 for 95, and I think Davante had 8 for 70 or 80 something. I just did a total of it. But overall, Hurts was 26 for 36, 239, no touchdowns, no interceptions, although we're going to put an asterisk next to that no interception. It didn't result in one, but that was a bad throw by Hurts. And then again, on that last drive before Dicker with the field goal, Jalen tried to force one into the end zone to Quez. And again, it was Thompson that nearly turned that into a whole lot of trouble too. But, to me, it was pretty obvious that the Cards were trying to take away A.J. Brown. They did a good job of it. They also did a good job, limiting our running backs, which if you guys remember last week when we talked about some stats going into the game, I think I had Arizona. Where is it here? I think I still have the notes, right? Yeah, so they were 23rd against the pass, but they were 5th against the run, only surrendering 87 yards per game. So they do defend the run pretty well. And they did a good job against Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. But Jalen still got him for 15 carries, 61 yards, and he scored the 2 touchdowns. So, all in all, you're talking about flying across the country on the road against the defense that can play well against the run, which means you're going to have to throw it more. We did, however, keep a pretty good balance regardless of what Arizona was obviously trying to do. Throwing the ball 36 times. I think we ran 33 times. Yeah. So it still was balanced out pretty well. And Jalen's athleticism gets us into the end zone twice. So we talked about he was a little sloppy with the ball. He's going to need to clean that up a bit. I don't know, the game against Jacksonville, you almost want to give him a pass against Jacksonville, though, because the conditions were so awful. I mean, the wind, the rain, I mean, just dreadful. But he will, like, almost once a game, he'll make this awful read and never see a defender, and it nearly costs us every time. But hey, look, a win is a win is a win, right? Our defense, I thought, was it was pretty solid overall. Again, you had the one really bad tackling play when there were a couple of plays that were bad tackling, but one in particular when Hollywood Brown, I mean, he basically made like the entire front seven miss and then just ran by everyone else in the secondary on into the end zone. And then the second half possession, where is that? Giving up the TD in the fourth. That was a bad defensive possession for us. Other than that, I thought they were good. Again, you're talking about a defense that, again, only gave up 17 points. Now, look, you can make the case it should have been 20, but that's not what's on the scoreboard. They missed the field goal. Jordan Davis. So we've been talking about him week over week and his percentage of snaps on the defensive side that he's seeing. That was up to 42 now. After last week, where was he? Last week he was at 36. Now he's up to 42. Another 3 tackles. He's being disruptive in the middle, like how we want him to, even if he's not getting on the stat sheet. He's, that big size. So he's starting to, he's starting to get a good amount of playing time, and he's delivering, which is great. Nakobe Dean, on the other hand, we're not seeing him at all on the defense, and that's something. I don't know. I mean, you could look at maybe TJ Edwards, that played at TJ, and he had another good game, right? 8 tackles, 1 for a loss. So I mean, TJ's all over the place. That's where Dean would come into play, but he's not getting any defensive snaps, strictly special teams right now. And maybe he's just not grasping the defensive playbook as well as they had hoped right away. That combined with the way TJ's playing, he's just not getting any reps. Hopefully that changes, because I really was hoping to see, first round talent drafted in the 3rd round. But I mean, his size could be a bit of a problem. I think he's 5'11", 225. But we'll just have to wait and see with Nakobe Dean. But Jordan Davis is definitely making an impact here. I'm going to hop over here, and you guys have been going at it here. Yeah, ton of green in Arizona, Russ. I didn't notice too many guys slipping. I take that back. Jalen Hurts, he did slip down, and Quimby came out of his seat, and immediately, 09 championship game. And you look at it like, dude, don't tell me you did this again, right? Like, come on. Russ Taylor, new stat category next year. If a receiver puts physical hands on a ball and it deflects or is stripped from them for an interception, the yards should go against the receiver in question. Okay. I don't think you do it yardage-wise. I think maybe you can look at a stat category where, dropped passes that led to turnovers, that led to interceptions, instead of just dropped passes, right? So not only are you dropping it, but you're dropping it in huge situations, and it's costing us dearly. Some guys are going to drop passes. Some guys are really going to screw the pooch. Lou Mancini, got to go full semi-tough on Parsons this Sunday night. I think they broke his neck. Micah Parsons scares me. We're going to get to the Dallas game here in just a few minutes. I don't want to jump that far ahead yet. So where were we? We were talking about the second half, right? So that defensive possession in the fourth quarter where Arizona goes down and scores and ties it. That was a bad defensive possession. There's no way to sugarcoat that. But then here comes the offense who, let's be honest, they weren't exactly lighting it up, right? This offense comes down the field, takes 7 minutes and 58 seconds off the clock, and forces Arizona to use all 3 of their timeouts. It would have been nicer to get the touchdown. Excuse me, jeez. It obviously would have been nicer to get the touchdown. But using all that time, making them use all their timeouts, and at least getting the field goal to retake the lead, huge. Leaves them very little time to get down the field, and now they have no timeouts. Now, I can tell you on that drive, when we got down inside the 10-yard line, I'm standing there like this, and Diaz is in the row right in front of me. He turns around and looks at me. He's like, dude, relax. They're just trying to – I'm like – and I'm looking at him, and I can't talk because my voice was messed up, but I'm like, I know. It doesn't make it any less nerve-wracking. And he's over there making fun of me. He's back here. His heart's about to jump out of his chest. He's biting out his ears. It was nerve-wracking. And then, there we are on third down, and Jalen throws this ball that damn near gets picked off. And I'm like, and Diaz turns around and looks again. I'm like, yo, dude, you can't be doing that stuff. But, it didn't get picked off. Dicker, the kicker, comes out and makes the field goal. We go back up by 3. And then comes the funniest drive of the game. Right down the field they go, right? And Kyler Murray, he's got to be a boner of the week candidate with that one, right? Slides down, does not recognize that he did not get the first down, immediately runs over, grabs the ball, and spikes it on 4th and 1. Now, you can go ahead and blame the coach for some of that, but Kyler Murray with no timeouts, you're the quarterback, you're the field general, you ran that ball, you knew where you gave yourself up when you slid. You, young man, have to know where you're at on the field and that you did not get that first down. There is no – Lou Mancini, right on the head. It's right where I was going with it. Couldn't reach the Crispix again. I thought he was very unimpressive pretty much all day long. Now, I get that DeAndre Hopkins isn't there. And we saw even last year when D-Hop got hurt, they were a much different team without him. But you're paying this kid $40.5 million a year to be a stud quarterback. At some point, he's got to deliver, right? They're 2-3. They've been scuffling without DeAndre Hopkins. And I didn't see anything different on Sunday. It looks like Kyler Murray. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not saying he's not an incredible athlete. I'm not saying that Arizona should not have given him the contract. Because when you really look at those contracts, yeah, they seem ridiculous. Oh, he's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. But it's not just about what you're doing. It's about your market value. And it's about where else is the team going to go if they don't give you that contract. A few months ago, right here on this show, we broke down the younger guys and the contracts that they've been given. Kyler was right after the Kyler contract. It's not just about one specific thing or just about the player. It's about where else is the team going to turn. I mean, look, I'm a Penn State fan, but does anybody really think Trace McSorley is a starting NFL quarterback? No. So Arizona's forced to give him that money. And I don't think they're getting return on their investment. Of course, then he comes out wearing a lime green pantsuit that, very Hillary Clinton-ish. That didn't help my judgment of him either. It looked like the leprechaun from Lucky Charms. So, Not just not able to reach the Crispix, Louis. Can't reach the Lucky Charms either. But yeah, boner of the week, man. And, spikes it on 4th and 1. So now that leaves them, and there were still, I forget if it was 22 or 23 seconds on the clock. They could have ran another play or whatever, had he just recognized it. But that's not what happened. They ended up with a 43-yard field goal, which, of course, gets missed. Now, look, I know there's been a lot of talk about did Milton Williams get his hand on it. I don't think he did. I think the kicker, I think the spin on the ball he just pushed it. It looked good coming off his foot, but I don't know if there was somebody took a giant big ass fan on the side and turned it on, but that thing took a right turn. See ya. So, way to go, Kyler. You could have made it a shorter field goal for your guy. We might have been in overtime. Not that I'm complaining. A win is a win for me. We're good. 5-0. Moving on. And this week is what? This week is Dallas Sucks week. So, I think it was Lou mentioned. Lou, what'd you mention? You mentioned Micah Parsons earlier. Oh, there she is. Desi with the best breakfast this side of the Mississippi River that none of you can have any of. Russ Taylor, where are my whiskey drinkers? On a Wednesday night, bud, after the weekend I just had? I'm probably not touching a drop until I go to Indianapolis next month. Lou Mancini, what you got, Russ? I'm mainly a beer guy, but some good whiskey turns my head. Oh, there you go, guys. All right, you guys enjoy. I'm still trying to sweat out everything from the weekend. Anyways, before we get to Dallas, there were 2 hits on quarterbacks over this weekend that is enough to really piss a lot of people off. And there's a young lady there in Philadelphia, in South Jersey, who we all love to death, who is absolutely furious about at least one of them. And rightfully so. She's, we all know Super Sam. She is absolutely furious about the hit that Jarrett got flagged for on Tom Brady. I don't know if any of you have seen it. I don't know how you couldn't have by this point. He grabs Brady and is basically falling down with Brady and spins through the tackle. He did not grab Brady and spin around and purposely, power bomb him. And out comes look, it was about as clean of a sack as you can get without just coming straight forward and, and hitting him in the breadbasket. Comes in, grabs him. His speed and everything his motion is taking him that direction. Brady tries to keep up on his feet. They spin around, goes down. Jarrett's not landing on him. He didn't grab and throw him into the ground. It was and the laundry comes out and they called Jarrett for roughing the passer. And it was absolutely brutal. Brutal. What in the hell are you even talking about? Why? Because it's Tom Brady? So that gets everybody in an uproar. Now you flash forward to Monday night. And Chris Jones puts a hit on Derek Carr. And they flag him for... Now, the Jones hit was a little bit worse because you could think maybe he landed on him, but you can literally see Jones's arms come out and try to brace himself to stop it from happening. There was no malicious intent there. He's a defensive lineman trying to make a sack. And then the laundry comes out there too. Total bullshit call. Where are we at over here? Dave Connett. I don't think either hit should be a penalty. NFL is losing this guy with all the BS. Yeah. So, and Sam and I were texting a little while ago, and that's the detriment. Look, and to her credit, to Sam's credit, and I agree with her, Concussions are scary. Okay. It's really scary what happens to these guys especially when their careers are over and, the crowd's all done cheering their names and it's just them and the ringing in their ears and the CTE and everything. These guys, it is a scary thing. You have guys killing themselves over it. It's terrible. But unless you want to make this a flag football league, you're never going to eliminate all of that. It's not even the hit all the time. It's the landing on the ground. Wide receivers diving for catches that, land completely flat on their back and their head slams backwards. You're not going to eliminate it all. So all you do by throwing these flags on this is you make the product of the NFL worse. That's all that's happening with this. These guys are not going to stop trying to hit the quarterback or hit anyone else. It's their job. And you want them to what? You want them to hit the guy only in this little window? Get the hell out of here, man. These are big, huge, strong, fast, incredible athletes that are looking at an area that they need to hit with their shoulder. Because God forbid they come in with the crown of the helmet. And if the player they're trying to hit happens to move, more than likely will move, even the slightest bit, it's not the same. It's not the same impact. That's not that guy's fault. Okay, he's doing his job. Now the offensive player is doing their job as well, of trying to avoid the hit. But you shouldn't reward with a 15-yard penalty and possible fines for some stupid shit like what we saw on Sunday and Monday night. It's absolutely ridiculous. To Keenan, the Tua incident wasn't soft officiating, it was poor medical advice. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. This crap, what's going on here is soft officiating. The Tua thing was scary, okay? That kid really needs to sit with his family, with maybe some private doctors too, and decide whether or not he actually should even keep playing football. Okay, that's one of those ones where if you got young kids, when that hit happens, you turn the channel or you turn the kids away because you don't want them to see that. But on top of all of this stuff, okay, the NFL pushing them to make these calls or whatever, of course it happened. It had to happen to Brady, right? It just makes it so much worse with all the nonsense that's going on in his career. But on top of all of it, as bad as concussions are, okay, and as horrible as the outcome can be for these guys at the end, they do know it going in, okay? I'm not making out that it's okay, but these guys do know that they're going to get their bell rung. They do know what the risks are if that happens too many times. They also know that when they do get one concussion, it makes them more susceptible to multiple. It makes them more susceptible to end up concussed again. So they know it, and it's still out there. So they're obviously okay making that decision for themselves, that they're going to put themselves at risk for that. You don't destroy your product by trying to hold their hand. I don't understand the flags on those two plays. David caught it. There's also a ton of info out there that says field turf causes way more concussions than hits do. So go to grass. Yeah, no, that kind of goes what I was saying before. It's not always the hit. It's the it's the impact of the ground, right? And it's not always, it doesn't always take someone getting hit. You dive, you jump and fall backwards. You get pushed and fall down and your head, it's not always some vicious hit. That's what I'm saying. You're never going to eliminate all of this. Don't water the whole thing down just at trying to eliminate something that's impossible to get rid of. It's like the war on drugs. You're not going to win that, right? My God. Lou Dominguez, my man, how you doing, brother? Lou has to say, I also have to bring up that Teddy Bridgewater shouldn't have come out of the game. I know Miami is under the microscope, but Teddy was fine. Let's see what the NFL does when 3 star QBs are out for wild card weekend. Not bad, man. I hope it doesn't happen, obviously. I don't ever want to see anyone end up, concussed all. You see what happens to these dudes, like a Junior Seau, right? Where they can't live with themselves after. It's terrible. I don't ever want to see any of that happen. But these guys know the risk, okay? And there's high reward for it too. It's not like they don't get compensated well. Again, I don't want anybody getting the idea that I think it's okay for guys to go out and end up with concussions that end up screwing up their lives later on. What I'm saying is they know that risk is there, and they're still choosing to go out there and play. And actually, they're grown men. It's a choice that they are making. So, all right, I want to get off my soapbox there. Sam and I texting about that. I offered her to pop on in and get it off her chest. She was she's fine just listening, and I'm sure at some point she'll get the opportunity to scream and yell about it if she hasn't already. Where are we at here? There you go. Keenan, don't want to get hit. The country needs more teachers. Go teach. Boom. That's it. And David kind of backs up. That's exactly what I'm saying. They're all, the knowledge is out. All the information is out there. That these are the risks. And they're still choosing to do it. So, you shouldn't stop them. And you shouldn't destroy your product when these guys are making fully conscious, fully educated decisions on what they want to do with their life. So, all right, we are going to get moving on. I want to close out the show talking about Dallas sucks week. Okay. I'm going to get off the concussions here. Hopefully the NFL gets off them too. And the Tua situation, I think, has led to some of the higher sensitivity here, but my God, those two were absolute bullshit. The one on Brady was the worst. Yeah, no, watching the replay, and it makes my blood boil. So we don't want to deal with that. Anyways, let's take a look at this Sunday for a few minutes before we wrap things up here tonight, right? 5-0 Birds coming home Sunday night. Take on Dallas Sucks. We all love Dallas Sucks week. We also know that Dallas has Micah Parsons. And we know how much of a pain in the ass Micah Parsons can be, and at every level of the defense. I think I've talked about it on here. I think I've talked about it on Right on Cue previously. I want to say it was against the Giants last year, where one series, 3 downs. On first down, Micah Parsons was rushing the passer. Can't remember if he actually got to Jones or just put him under duress, but he was right in his face on first down. Second down, handoff, and it's Parsons on the tackle for, I think, a 2-yard loss. Either that or the sack happened, and then there was like no gain on the run. Third down, Jones airs one out downfield a good 20, 30 yards, and his pass is broken up by Micah Parsons. The guy is just a problem, and I don't really know what you do to stop that. Nobody, in my opinion, the greatest defensive player I ever saw was Lawrence Taylor. He's not my favorite player, obviously. That goes to Brian Dawkins. But Lawrence Taylor, I mean, what Micah Parsons is doing now is very much that sort of thing. I will not say that Micah Parsons is equal to Lawrence Taylor. But what he's doing is similar to what we saw from Taylor years ago. So he's a problem, right? Speed, power, vision, his football IQ. He's just it's just a pain in the ass that we're going to have to account for. So, going to be pretty important to get Mailata back this week. Kelsey needs to be healthy. We need the offensive line. We really need everyone in good shape, but particularly that offensive line. Because let's be honest, guys, the Dallas defense has been pretty good. All right. I don't like to admit that they do anything well, but their defense has been pretty good. We're going to go over those numbers here in just a minute. Wanted to talk about Parsons first because he's the one that everyone should be watching. So when you put both of these teams on the field on Sunday night, Micah Parsons is probably the most talented player standing on that field with the other 105 guys. That's how good he is. All right. That's where we're at with Parsons. Just to give everyone, and look, he was doing this shit at Penn State. So it's not a big shock to me. It is a little bit of a shock that he was able to do it right away in his rookie year. I thought there would be a little bit more adjustment just because of the speed of the game and everything going from college to pro. That kid didn't miss a beat, and he sat out the COVID year. So, hey, he's going to be a problem. But we'll start on the defensive side of the ball. I wrote down some things I wanted you guys to hear, some comparisons and where these two teams stand as far as their team rankings going into this week for the game Sunday night. So overall team defense, yardage per game given up. The Birds are fourth in the NFL, surrendering 294.4 yards per game. The Girls are seventh at 311.4. Not a massive difference there, right? You're talking 17 yards. Rushing yards per game surrendered. Birds are 10th, allowing 105 yards per game. The Girls are 19th. Which is like, oh, yeah, they're 9 spots behind us. Yeah, but they're only 12 yards more per game. So, at 117.6. Per attempt, Birds, we surrender 5 yards per carry. The Girls give up 4.7. So, nothing to write home about there. No big differences there. And that's pretty much the way the defense matches up. There's not a big wide gap between what we're giving up and what they are. Pass defense, we're 6th in the league, 189.4. The Girls, 7th, 193.8. 4 yards. QBR, we're 2nd in the league, 71.7 QBR against us. Girls are 7th, 74.6. Again, not a huge difference. Sacks, we are 4th with 17. The Girls are 2nd with 20. Yeah, Micah Parsons has 6 of those. Okay, and a forced fumble. Like I said, the kid's a problem. The biggest one, obviously, when you look at team stats, what matters most is the scoreboard at the end of the game. And points per game, we surrender 17.6. That's good for 7th in the NFL. The Girls, 14.4. That is 3rd in the NFL. We're pretty evenly matched defensively. Now, that same story does not hold true when you look at the team's offense. You guys over here talking about Weapon X. I had a feeling once I brought up Dawkins, he was going to be the topic of conversation in the room. Hey, look, he's everybody's favorite, right? Keaton, I think if you saw my jersey, but that's my game day jersey. It's his number, but Weapon X on the back instead of Dawkins. So Russ over here, what do we have? It's going to come down to special teams and keeping the turnovers to zero. The turnover margin is always going to be huge. Special teams, I mean, so I'm going to give you the same type of stats, but I'm going to give them to you from the offense. And this is where there is a massive gap between us and Dallas. Team total offense, so total yards per game. We are second in the NFL at 419.8 yards per game. Dallas is 27th at 298 yards per game. That's 120 yards difference. That's big. That's a big number. Rushing, we are fourth in the NFL at 160 yards per game on the ground. The girls are 15th at 115.8. So they're still doing all right, but they're just middle of the pack. And that's with a backup quarterback out there. Passing yards per game. We are seventh in the NFL at 259.8. The girls are 27th at 182.2. Big differences here, guys. QBR. We are sixth in the NFL. Jalen at 97.4 QBR. The girls, 20th at 84.7. I mean, it's pretty much Cooper Rush, right? Third down percentage converted, right? Our third down conversion rate. We are sixth in the NFL at 43.8. The girls are 29th in the NFL at 30.9. 3 out of every 10 for them. And of course, points per game, the most important. We're fifth in the NFL at 27 points per game. The girls are 24th. 24th in the NFL at 18.6 per game. So look, guys, Dallas's defense is tough. Micah Parsons being out there and wreaking the havoc that he does makes it difficult to account for Lawrence, for Diggs, for other guys. So their defense is a problem. But so is our defense. We just don't have that one guy that's going to wreak havoc, right? We're a pretty complete unit. All three levels of the defense, we play really well. And so that's why the defensive numbers for us, a lot of them are, it may only be a yard or two, but it's even better than Dallas. The offensive side of the ball, we are significantly better. Yeah. You want to tell me that's Cooper Rush? Fine. But then shouldn't your rushing statistics be a little bit better? Right? Especially if Jerry Jones wants to come out and say that offense still needs to work through Zeke. No. I've said it every week, and I'm going to say it again now. We are going into this game as the more talented team, and I expect to be 6-0 at the end of the night. That's it. You're more talented. Mike McCarthy is not going to outcoach Nick Sirianni. I'm not sure Mike McCarthy could outcoach a whole lot of us sitting here. Okay? Defensively, look, do I expect it to be a bit of a defensive battle? Yeah, I do. Of course I do. I'm not expecting the scoreboard to light up. However, one of these weeks, I want us, and I think this is something we've all said every week too, I want to see us come out and just put it on somebody. Bad. Real bad. What better way to do it than Sunday night against Dallas? I mean, I can't think of a better time to just open it all up and splatter them all over the place. But we'll see. Their defense is tough. I expect to see, I expect a victory, guys. I expect to be 6-0 or better. The numbers dictate it, right? The numbers dictate that our defense is pretty even, but that we are significantly better on the offensive side of the ball. And I don't know. We're going to see about Dak Prescott. We'll have to see. Now, you know what will happen. All these Cowgirl fans that are bragging about how well they're doing with Cooper Rush. We come out on Sunday and beat the crap out of them, they're going to use Cooper Rush as an excuse. Who's our backup quarterback? Listen, you douche pickles. You can't have it both ways, right? You either want to brag about winning with a backup, and that's fine, but you don't then get to come and use it as an excuse when you lose. And I'm telling you, they're going to lose. So, Keenan, we need to jump on them early, run the score up by halftime. I need to go to work early on Monday. Look, so that's kind of going to be the final thought for the night here, guys. We've pretty much dominated the first halves of football games. But the second half offense has been inconsistent at best, okay? We had a couple of touchdowns against Detroit. Did okay against Jacksonville with 10 points. But yesterday was just a couple of field goals. It would be nice to play 4 complete, consistent quarters. And I understand it's the NFL. I get it. It's tough. You're not always going to be successful every time you have the ball. But I want to see, especially against Dallas, man. Just give me 4 quarters of what you normally do in the first half. Lights out, baby. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much all I had for the week. Arizona, once again, was an absolute blast. I don't know how many of you are going to be in Indianapolis. Michelle and I are headed out there. That is just a little over 5 weeks away. It is the weekend right before Thanksgiving. So wife and I are going to get in on Saturday, the 19th. We're talking about touring the Indy 500 track that morning. It's only an hour and a half drive for us. Talking about touring the Indy 500 track that morning, and then heading over to check into the hotel and hook up with the Legion, whoever's there. I would expect it's probably going to be obviously a smaller group than Arizona, but probably one of the smaller groups of the year, maybe. Indianapolis is just not a not a big destination place, right? It's not, oh my God, I got to go see Indianapolis. But we'll see. I hope it's a good turnout. I'm sure there'll be at least a few hundred. I'm looking forward to it, as I do every Green Legion trip. I don't think I'm going to drink it all between now and then, though, because this past weekend taught me anything. I'm getting a little too old for that shit. So everything in moderation. I felt real bad on Sunday too. Q had me on there to co-host with the pregame show, and then I couldn't. I apologized to him later, like, dude, I'm so sorry. That shit won't happen again. And of course, Q being Q, we all know him. He's just like, dude, don't apologize, please, man. But come Indianapolis. If I promised them I will be there with my functioning voice. So, all right, y'all. Oh, hang on, missed the comment here. Maria, the older you get, the longer the recovery time. That is the truth. And the worst part is I know that, and I didn't care. So we had a good time. Great trip all around. Great weather. Great people as always. Great outcome to the game. That's another thing. So a lot of times these big trips, it's away games, and road victories are special. Huge trips like Miami or Nashville or something like that, or LA or whatever, and you come away with a loss. It's so much sweeter when you go out there and there's this big, huge group of people, and then you're all partying together afterwards because you're coming away with a win. So, Birds, let's hope the Birds keep it going. I hope your Phightin Phils keep it going too. Looking forward to those continued conversations every week. Let's get to the weekend. Let's get to Sunday. Let's get to Sunday night. And let's bring home the head of Cooper Rush and or Dak Prescott. I honestly would prefer to see Dak play because I don't want any excuses. Right? Put his ass on the field. Uh-oh. Yeah, Dave Conant, I'm going to let that one go, bud. On that note, this has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, or Unhealthy Gilmore this week, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. You guys, as always, you are the best. I'm going to go rest my pipes and get something to eat, probably lay down and get ready to head back to work tomorrow, which sucks. Thankfully, only 2 days, and then I'm right back on the couch. So, for the rest of the Gilmore administration here, we love you. We'll talk to you soon, and go Birds. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a great week and go Birds.